But anyway, back to his comments. He called me a whore. Then he took the picture that I had at my profile picture at that point, and he started adding different insults to it. And you know, I get really in detail in the blog entry, so it was bad. I reported it to Twitter, and they said they could do nothing. Now, they have an abuse policy. The abuse policy says that unwarranted attacks are considered abuse and are against the rules. Now, calling me a manatee may have been and sort of warranted because I was challenging him. I don't know. I don't think it was. When he got into calling me a whore and using my picture, that was unwarranted. I did not call him anything. I did not say anything that should have caused that, but it came as a result of me challenging him. And his friends got involved, and it was horrible. And for the next 4 weeks, I hated myself more. I have low enough self-esteem as it is that I did not need that inspiration to hate myself, but I did. I started thinking he was right about calling me these things, that he was right to call me names, that he was right to say, you know, that I was worthless, that these things were okay, because, you know, obviously, when you tell somebody who's already been taught that she's less than, when you tell her that she definitely is, there's that chance that it's gonna click, that it's gonna just set her into motion and do things like kill herself. And that, the day before I turned 30, I seriously thought about killing myself. And it wasn't to do with my upcoming birthday. It was to do with those comments. And I know that people think it's ridiculous because it's online, but it was still how I felt. It was still what I was going through. It was still me. And when Twitter said it wasn't abuse, it made it even worse. It made me feel like not only was it okay for him to say that, but they weren't going to try to stop it. You know, they weren't going to prevent it from happening to other people. And it does happen to other people. This particular guy and his friends do this every single day on Twitter. I blocked him, but, you know, I've seen other girls that I'm friends with on there, that I follow on there, who've had him or his friends target them for things, and nothing gets done. He did get one of his accounts. He got one of them suspended. He has 3, or now I guess technically he has 2. And those 2 are still around, and they spend every day tearing people down. And Twitter does nothing. So that was the justification for that tweet. The next one, an all-female dorm that I stayed in during college had a broken lock on one of its doors. The university knew, and several residents reported being raped. We were told we had to keep our doors closed, that we had to make sure we shut them, that we had to make sure that we never let anybody get our key at all, because that door was open. We were told this at orientation, and that door did not get fixed while I was there. And there were news reports that came through that women were being raped in that dorm, and nothing was being done at all. So there's that. When I didn't want to hang out with a guy who stalked me, I was considered a bad friend by our mutual friends. I went out with a religious group of people for a while when I was 24. And, this guy and I started talking. We were at a table with like 7 other people. We started talking. He had been married before. I had never. Anyway, his ex-wife had bipolar disorder. I'd been diagnosed as bipolar when I was about 17. He said she didn't take her medicine. And I said, well, that's a problem that a lot of people with the disorder have, because it is. Compliance is an issue. Anyway, he was nice, I guess, but he made me uncomfortable. That first night, he made me uncomfortable. He was already telling me that I needed to do certain things with my life. He was bossy, and I didn't want to spend time with him. The next Monday, one of our mutual friends got my phone number, and I thought, since this friend didn't have my phone number yet, I was new to the group, I thought he was getting the phone number so, he could contact me when we could hang out and stuff. He told me after he got my number who he was getting the number for, and that this person wanted to talk to me on the phone. I hate talking on the phone. I really do. I have serious panic attacks when I'm on the phone. So I already was on nerve about somebody calling me. But then when he told me who it was going to be, and I didn't like that. But I didn't really say no, because I thought maybe I was wrong. As soon as he got my number, he called regularly, way too regularly, to tell me things to do. It got more frequent after that coming Thursday. He got me. We went to Arby's after a church meeting, and one of my friends had a crush on another guy that was there, so she was eating with him, and we were sitting next to him, but it was at one of those 2 people table things. Anyway, he decided that he was going to pay for mine. I've paid for friends' meals before. I've had other friends pay for my meals before. It's never meant anything other than, hey, I'm being friendly. Let me cover this. He paid for it before I could really object, and I thanked them for paying. And then I had to sit there and have him lecture me while I ate about things I needed to do. After that day, he called even more frequently. He made it very uncomfortable for me to spend time around our friends. He made it very uncomfortable for me to even pick up the phone. I don't even remember if we had caller ID at that point. But eventually I started just, hanging out by myself at home. I'd watch movies with my family instead of going out, because I did not want to be near him. I couldn't really get it across to our friends that I didn't want to be around them. And I didn't want to seem rude about it. But basically, I didn't start going back to group stuff until after he moved for a job. He moved out of town for a job, and then I started hanging out with the group again. And it wasn't long before I quit hanging out, because I just felt, I wondered if he was like this, maybe other people in the group were. And So that contributed to me stopping going to church, actually. There were a lot of things that did, but that was one of them. One of the others is I'm Mormon. I joined in 2008, which was a bad year to join because everybody believed in Proposition 8 then in the church, and I didn't, and that was not popular. And a lot of people didn't like Obama, and they were very upfront about that. That's totally unrelated. Anyway.